Hello, hello, and we say a good day to you in this moment of your time. As the Pleiadian Council, we speak on behalf of the entire Galactic Alliance, and we are very excited to transmit and connect with you in this new way. So, we have collected some particular questions from certain people, and we will now do our best to answer and compile all of these questions in a way that can help everyone receiving this transmission, receiving this information, this connection, to deepen in their own journey and open up to greater multidimensional connections at this time. We believe all of these questions are thematically quite well intertwined, and we will begin here. Of course, we will not directly say all of the words of each question, though we will paraphrase and add our response. The first thing we will discuss is then, a questioner has asked about past or future lifetimes. We often, or you often in your reality, make connection and contact with these other versions of your soul, other soul aspects, other selves, however you term them, in order to bring energy into your present reality. And yes, as you do this, these other selves are learning and expanding through you. Now, the question was, how can we be of assistance to these beings? And the answer is, you are really doing this all of the time without knowing it. In fact, there are many different beings, and especially aspects of your own oversoul, that draw connection to you and learn from the experiences you are having in your present lifetime. Yet you can go much deeper into this if you use any such tool of a meditation, a past life regression, or some form of hypnotherapy that is similar to this, that allows you to experience a connection with these other versions of yourself. You can perhaps experience that you are in their body, in their reality, or you can meet with them in some sort of place and let them know that you are there to learn from them and also to support them. Now, here is one thing that many people don't really take into account, and if this is not part of your understanding, you may not always experience this, for there are many people who have recurring connections to traumatic incidences from past lives. What we are saying is that none of this is really necessary. It can help you to a point as a permission slip or release from the trauma to see how the traumatic experiences you have had in the present life are connected to other lives. Yet, in this multidimensional reality, there are infinite timelines, and therefore there are infinite versions of every present life that you are having, your current soul, you. There's a version of you where 7 years ago you made a very different decision in some way and are having different experiences as a result. And when you learn how to use those imaginal windows, so to speak, to peer through, you can make connection with them and learn from them. Today, when you make different decisions, you open up different timelines. So even the simplest decision of what do you have for lunch today opens up a split into many timelines, and we are saying that this is truly infinite. So when you make big and great changes in your present life, that also affects your past lives, and those lives also will not change because they are already out there. They are already, in a way, fixed in place, yet the different versions of those past lives that you make connection to will change. For example, in a past life, or another aspect of yourself may have been persecuted for being a witch. And if you have a great fear of being persecuted for your spiritual pursuits, or you are perhaps rejected by your family or friends for such pursuits, you may continuously draw connection to a version of that soul in which they were condemned or killed even for being a witch. Yet if you choose to change the timeline and alter the frequency, you can release and shed those belief systems through deep feeling, through deep awareness, through choosing a new belief and therefore creating a new reality. You will then perhaps start to draw a connection with a version of that past life in which that person escaped the condemnation, escaped the persecution. And really, you do this all the time. Every time you make these shifts in your life, you ripple out and affect your past lives. So the answer, therefore, is you are already assisting your other lifetimes always, and you can be of greatest assistance when you make the most positive changes in your present life, which, as we have explained, and many other beings from Star Nations explain, when you live from your heart, follow your passion, and do what brings you to feel the greatest expansion of the feeling of love, you are on that highest path, and therefore you are a being of greatest service to everyone, including those other aspects of your soul, your other lifetimes. One moment. Alright, for some reason our channel wanted to just check if it was actually recording. Sometimes that occurs, that he forgets, and we say that, well, in these times many channels, like this one, can be in a place where going back and forth from a normal waking state and a channeling state is very easy, is but seconds away, and this is very different than it has been before in some cases. Anyway, let us continue. So, the next question is about nature spirits and portals into the elemental realm. They do exist everywhere, and this person was asking a particular question about their connection in their home. We will get to that, though speaking generally, what allows the connection to open between the human realm and the fairy realm? It is a willingness to bring yourself into great sensitivity to nature, and so your own care for the natural world around you by tending to the plants and not harming them, by bringing deep sensitivity to the sensation, the touch, the feeling of them, admiring them, spending time to sit with them. They do start to open up more of their connection to you. The plants, the rocks, and the minerals are dear to those beings you may know as nature spirits, fairies, elves, gnomes, sylphs, salamanders. There are many names for them. There are many different types. We've simply listed a few, though there are thousands of names, and there are infinite different variations upon them when you consider that many of these beings are shape-shifters, and so they can present themselves in an infinite amount of different forms, making this a realm of infinity and a realm that is not subject to the same laws of time that your realm is, and that our realm is, while we are quasi-physical, that allows us to bend the fabric of space and time and move in and out of it and jump in at different points and timelines and different timelines. They are very different entirely, and they exist more outside of time is the best way we could put it. So it is first that sensitivity and that care for nature, and then different gifts and offerings. They do truly love crystals and metals. They do not like when you have altered them very much. If you attempt to shape a crystal or a metal in some way, it will be distracting to them. They will not really understand how to connect with its pure energy, and it is not quite as sufficient. So while tumbled stones do work to some degree, they are much better than carved stones for this realm, most certainly, for they have some more of a natural connection. The very best stones and metals to use are ones that are unpolished entirely. Now, you must also be making sure you reduce anything that is toxic to the environment in that setting. And to make some sort of ceremony is very beautiful. So using natural candles and incenses and the stones and making an offering in some tradition or in your own form of connection does not matter. What is required is your belief and your willingness to take a period of time to sit and contemplate. You can use circles and geometries, both visual and drawing, to open a portal and add your intentions to that existing realm. You may find that there are very particular locations that are natural portals, and you can add to these portals with your symbolism and your offerings. And such natural portals are when there are openings in the bottom of trees, when there are concentric rings of trees or especially mushrooms, when there is any such natural formation that appears odd or anomalous. This is something that the nature spirit realm is using to deepen in connection with the human realm. In regards to this particular location that the questioner has asked about, we would say, well, one moment. This is a particular place where you may find a strong concentration of energy known as gnomes or elves. It is very deeply connected to the element of earth itself, so this is a grounding place. And you can really play with the spirits here. They are very playful in their nature, and so having a joyful attitude and listening to what we have suggested and any other ideas in terms of connecting to the nature realm that you come across that feel resonant to you, apply them and see how it works when you play and allow yourself to connect here. Every person will have their own unique connection to this nature spirit realm, and one more thing about it is that it is totally in accordance with this law of the universe of what you put out is what you get back. So nature spirits can appear to be very loving, or they can appear to be very tricky or daunting, and it is not their innate nature, it is only their reflection of you. So you may experience the same sort of nature spirits being very naughty when you are in a distressed or frustrated state, or when you are very attached to certain outcomes. And you may experience those same spirits as very loving and light and helpful when you are in a very optimistic and open attitude. And this is why people who do not believe in the existence of such creatures will never experience them, because the belief that you put out is the result you get back. And so for people who do not have these experiences, they must look deeper and investigate, do you really believe that this is possible? And alter your belief system accordingly, one step at a time, finding the next suitable belief until it presents itself to you. Alright, and moving on to the next question. It is about the energy of Tantra. The questioner suggested that through connecting with someone who had a very deep Tantric training, this sort of special, unique breath allows for a deeper experience of sexuality, and express that a certain... Well, this is also a nature spirit. A dragon appeared in a dream and aroused within the questioner a very sexual energy that was experienced in a deep and powerful way. And the question was how to open the sensitivity more, how to use it, and what is its purpose. So we will say to this question, yes, your entire body is a sexual receptive platform. And it ties in again with what we were saying with the nature spirits. It is about attuning your sensitivity to every sensation. What does it feel like as the sun is against your skin? What is that pleasure? As you roll your hands through the water, can you focus deeper on that pleasure? When you rub up against a plant, do you feel the pleasure of that? As you eat, do you eat slowly and take in every taste? Do you allow yourself to taste the flowers and the plants around you and truly attune to it? in every moment do you slow down enough so that you can feel the pleasure that is always already there? For it is in these simple moments that you expand your subtle awareness of the field of life and the field of pleasure you are experiencing, and that allows for deeper connection and deeper expansions of pleasure in moments of expanded sexual connection. Now, it is very possible to have sexual contact with different spirits, including nature spirits, including what you consider demigods or the old traditional and mythological figures of the wisdom traditions and pagan traditions around the world, and as well extraterrestrials. All of these realms and avenues of sexual connection are available on astral realms, for your astral body is one where there is great pleasure as well. And so when you allow for these connections to occur, you can experience in your astral state great waking pleasure moving through you. And know that when you have cleared away the fear and the trauma from both sexual abuse and emotional abuse, these connections will be very healthy. There are certain connections in these realms that are draining and parasitic that occur when there is unprocessed trauma. What is really occurring is that these spirits, which again are only reflections of the vibration you are putting out, feed off the trauma that you push beneath the surface. When you are in dream time, that trauma must come and release through your system in some way. And so these spirits, in a way, are really helping you. If you have had these experiences or happen to have them, they're helping you to move through that by bringing it to the surface and clearing it out of your vessel. There's truly no such thing as a really negative spirit. While you may have experiences you define as negative, there is always a lesson there in seeing how what you are experiencing is the result of the vibration you are putting out. So you can use these connections with these spiritual realms to open and expand your sexuality, and there are many traditions of Tantra who work with these realms. So be open, and when you find that you find the deity or the alien or the nature spirit to be quite alluring, well, don't think that to be so weird. That is natural. And that goes to help us speak a little bit also about how your world has many harsh and limiting belief systems around your sexuality. It encourages you to think that it is something bad, something that can be overused, and something that only is appropriate in certain settings. And we say that, well, yes, you don't want to go out in the streets and romp around in front of everyone. That is not quite what your world is ready for, of course, though we are saying that every moment is a sexual experience when you deepen your sensitivity and your awareness to all sensational feeling, and you feel that every breath is a kiss of the divine, a stroke of the divine that massages your entire being and allows that deeper energy to raise. So the questioner also said that the sexual energy came with a dragon. And this is a representation of both the primal life force energy within you and that of nature. The dragon is a interdimensional interface of a great and powerful higher dimensional force. And it appears to you as this dragon that symbolizes your Kundalini energy. It symbolizes the primordial energy that stirs all to life. And this force of Kundalini can be stimulated when you, again, slow down enough to breathe deep into your senses. It is not as hard to awaken your Kundalini as you would think. It only takes that deep focus, and one of the most powerful and important parts of arousing the Kundalini is your breath. There are many other stimulants and exercises and practices that will do this, and certain situations will naturally arouse the Kundalini within you, especially those that trigger a deep survival impulse. Yet that is not the way we encourage you to experience this. Truly it is the breath and breathing deep, deep, deep into your root chakra to allow this energy to move through you and feel again that your breath is a stroke, is a kiss, is a pleasurable impulse of the divine moving through you. And this energy will bring great awakening and liberation from all of these old structures that limit you and keep you not fully enjoying your life. Your life is meant to be a dance. It is meant to be a joy. It is meant to be a bountiful experience of love. And when you allow yourself to enjoy that, you also give those around you the permission to fully take in all that life has to offer. Now, the same questioner also asked a question that we do not fully have permission to go into. We will say a little bit. What we will say is that the person, the channel that met you, what they saw within you is your deep state of transcendence that you are tuning to. They saw within you that you can see beyond the scenes, that you can tap into the greater unfolding, and that you are so protected that you actually have nothing to fear. And this is a great feat. So let us continue on to subjects that allow the benefit of all. And here we will say, the last question we will speak about is in regards to this uprising of Lemurian energy coming through this cycle now, and the idea of a great Lemurian sisterhood. What is this new energy coming? Why is it being stirred? And what is the future of this Lemurian sisterhood? Now, we will say that the specific guild or group of this Lemurian sisterhood who delivered this question is but one of many pockets of people who are part of the same soul group on some level. These different factions of the soul group that tie their lineage back to Lemuria is expanding, and more people are starting to get this awakening. So, briefly, the Lemurian energy was one of a deep, deep connection with nature. The Lemurians lived among the nature spirits, and there was no division between the worlds as there is now. They knew these eternal beings to be their brethren, and their deep attunement to nature allowed them to live very peaceful and spiritual lives. And their continent was sunk through their conflict with Atlantis. And this is something that both sides were equally responsible for. Now, the Lemurian part of this was an unwillingness to find a sort of compromise with the Atlantians, and a wish to sort of stay on their own continent and not bridge their teachings to those who need it. And the revolution happening now is that those with this Lemurian consciousness must and are allowing that deep connection with nature, their deep love for each other, and their deep connection to source to be expressed and embodied through them. So you'd say 10 years into the future, what does it look like for these people who are following the awakening of this Lemurian energy once more? And we would say that there are many different timelines. So let us speak about the highest of the timelines, of course. And 10 years from now, 2029, if all comes into accordance, the first experiences of open contact will have occurred in small groups. And those within this sisterhood will be some of the first to receive contact. So, leading up to this point, there are groups with a meditative focus directed towards being that bridge for Pleiadian and hybrid consciousness, as well as Syrian consciousness, to land and be received again on the planet. And as you gather and share this focus, you may receive bits of information that cue you in. Now, another aspect of this is activating the certain centers on the earth that are presently dormant, and many of them are sites where the Lemurians who survived that ancient cataclysm came to follow through with what their truer purpose was, and sharing their wisdom and sharing their way with the many other peoples of the earth at that time. And many of these places are indeed in South America, the Asia, parts of the North America, Central America, and India, and Polynesia. These areas, yes, and as well Japan actually, have a very significant concentration of Lemurian energy, and there is a uprising again of this energy. So when you consider the entire ring of fire, there is work that is being done to activate it, and it is both in these very powerful and significant sites that you know, and also in bridging those energies out into more natural locations, especially ones that have been disbalanced. And so you must, yes, receive the light from those highly charged places that you know of, and also bring that into places where that energy has become stagnant. Ways that you can do that is to take rocks and crystals from these very powerful places, or even rocks that you charge in them and crystals that you charge in those locations, out into areas where the energy is disbalanced, and add to that grid. This will help the energy travel through the earth, and this must be done across the entire ring of fire in all of these different locations. When you bring yourself to these powerful places, you receive that energy, and you receive the energy that has been transmitted from Lemuria to these more ancient civilizations, and now back through the records stored in those locations to you. This assists in the process, and should for any reason one not be able to travel, there is great work that you may do simply leaving your body on astral planes to go to these sites and receive that energy and that information. Of course, Lemurian cities still exist in these higher dimensional realms that you can travel to and receive greater guidance from, and everyone will have their own specific mission related to the awakening of this energy. It is truly a very feminine energy in Lemuria in general, and this also represents a shift from the patriarchy, not to matriarchy, but to a true state of equality. And we are looking for more words. The word that comes is synarchy, though it is not in the way that it is used in your political field at this time. Syn meaning coming together, the archy meaning the platform of connection, of organization, an organization that brings all together. And this is also an understanding of the true purpose of the feminine is to be that which is very receptive to the information. And as the receptor, the one that can have that clearer insight and intuition, the one that brings the message to carry forth. And the masculine being the component that takes action accordingly. The masculine being the component that can hold the space and create a container for that feminine frequency to be in its very receptive state. Now, this is not speaking only to the gender of the body, the biological birth, gender, by no means. The feminine and masculine energy within a person is something that is unique and independent from the gender that they are born into biologically. And so when we are saying that this is a shift towards the feminine energy being one that takes that place of leadership, gives voice to the message, in general it does mean more women, as in general more women do have the higher concentration of feminine energy, take leadership roles and organize people together, bring people together through a message rather than only men doing it. It is not necessarily limited only to women, as there are many born males who have, again, that very high concentration of feminine energy that leads them to be quite open, receptive channels. So by allowing women to step into these roles of leadership and for women to hold their truth impeccably without allowing fear to limit what they share and how they share it, is again part of this uprising, both of that Lemurian energy and of the entire balancing out process occurring. So honoring your intuition, listening to it, and gathering through it is a great key in the process. Now, other Lemurian technologies that are key in the process are that of sound healing, as the Lemurians were very attuned to sound, and the use of crystals with sound healing is also very powerful. This is, of course, something that was also used in Atlantis, though in Atlantis it was used in very destructive means. Now, there is a current deep link up with the Atlantian and Lemurian timelines, and many people with that Atlantian connection are finding the same sorts of conflicts, the corrupt leadership, the misuse of power, the use of spiritual energy for personal gain rather than for collectivism, cropping up. And what is really necessary for the Lemurian counterparts is to be a force that, again, challenges, but not challenges in a way that separates, as this was the Lemurian mistake of the past. The Lemurians saw what they did not like in the Atlanteans, and they said, well, we are simply going to stay over here. We are going to isolate. We are going to use our energy to psychically block their efforts, instead of having transparent discussions, having open relations with all, and being willing to go beyond that negative means of control and manipulation. So those with this very soft feminine energy that is wishing for the greater connection of all, the balancing of all, the equality of all, must peacefully challenge those in that Atlantean energy still. And there are equally many who are connecting to the Atlantean lineage holders who even resisted the corruption occurring in Atlantis. And it is the partnering of the Lemurian frequency holders and the Atlantean frequency holders that creates the union of what you describe as the masculine and feminine, the divine aspects of such. And in doing this, there is a great openness, a great synergy created that allows for total transformation to occur. So, again, the tools are having groups dedicated to meditating upon open contact, and there are already many permission slips that allow for this to occur. Coming to these very charged and potent places where the energy still of Lemuria is held, and also traveling to those higher dimensional Lemurian vortexes in your astral travels, gritting that energy out into locations that really need it with crystals, being the ambassador of these new energies and these new ideas, and sharing that with many others who may or may not be receptive, and being able to stand up to those who represent that negative force of control of the Atlantian time and using the sound healing and the crystal healing together as a means of holding a high frequency container in space. You can place crystals on one's body and sing over their body to allow the crystals to vibrate at certain tones. You do not really need much training in this because you will be able to download directly the methods of doing this from your connection to your Lemurian selves. And you can also download many other tools from your connection to ancient Lemuria, including deeper spiritual healing tools, deeper awareness of energy healing, and, well, very much more that we know that every individual will have their own connection with and their own understanding of. Understand that most of you do not have just one Lemurian lifetime if you are connecting to that ancient civilization in general. And there are many symbols of this Lemurian time being represented in your current culture, one such being that movie of Avatar, which is coming out more. And this new expression of that will connect beyond the Lemurian time as well into the Sirian energy. And understanding the Lemurians had both that connection to Pleiades and to Sirius and to many other star systems is very important. Though here the Pleiadian and Sirian energies are very key in your time. So meditating upon those frequencies and using that connection with water is very helpful. As you probably know, you can attune the water to the frequency of your intention and use the water to remember this ancient connection that the Lemurians had with water, the water that flows through them and the water that gives all life, and use this element to deepen and soften yourself. The universal idea here is one of a true and clear expression of unconditional love. Now this blue color of the throat both represents the water and as well frequencies of Lemuria and Atlantis. And it is the water that unites all. And in the times to come, it is the need for water and the uprising of water that will literally unite all people. And so now you are laying the groundwork for it. And while there are maybe many who are focused on the fear-based energies and the fear-based interpretations of the changes occurring on your planet, understand that there have been great floods before, and as has been shared in many of your myths, the rising of the waters, the releasing of your tears, the shedding of the water within your body, and the intaking of new water with intention all serves a greater purpose. So use that water element again, always, as the means to connect and the means to remember who you are. You are fluid, and you can take new shape when given a new container. So allow yourself to be like water and flow, and allow your heart to guide you to each of those next upcoming tools and missions and connections with others. The greatest remedy for your time is to hold your heart open to love and to see all others as other expressions of yourself, and know that as you meet heart to heart, you deepen in your own understanding, connection to source, and you always will allow more of our energy, our frequency, to be received within your being. We will end with a brief light language transmission. Unashkalako ormakataika no kupata no ko kalakata no koma. Inashakataramo ola katarnina kotona ama kototoshke. Ilakotona mosono tarra nikasaka pokola kotanamashko taramako kuika. Ilakataramo sono koba kanakata na shekatra. Ilakataramo sanakata inishkoda baka. Ini ilakataramo onolaba konikata nioko. Kore angyash alakataramo soko tanamako usaba taishko ringi mo somo laikai. Kuri malakataramo shingi tanamo sunikata palakotanamo katama koika. Inish kataramo sunika palakatarano amakotingama. We thank you for receiving this transmission. We hope that you may take it all to heart deeply and allow yourself again to flow with love and overflow with love. A fair day to you all, and we will see you in many other ways.